the way this all started, I used to do a lot of sand sculpture. Every time we went away to Florida, I'd spend the afternoons on the beach for hours making sand sculptures. Once, you know, I used to do all sorts of things on the beach. And then later on, when I didn't get to the beach very often anymore, and I was getting a little too old to do that bending and digging, I started to do the clay sculpture. Why I like to work in clay, and I think it's because it's so forgiving. It's so easy to add, to subtract, to you can do large heads, you can do, in fact you can do entire figures. You can make very tiny pieces, and you can finish them in all sorts of ways. You can either glaze them or stain them, or after they're fired you can paint them in acrylic and then glaze them with an acrylic glaze. So I find it very, very enjoyable to work with clay. Yeah, I'm always looking for some idea for another piece, and I saw a picture in a magazine of a young lady with this tightly woven, well, what would you call it? I can't think. Well, dreadlocks, I guess you'd call it. And so I thought that would make a good subject for a piece. The only problem was that when it came out of the first firing, there must have been an air bubble right under this cheek. And when it came out of the firing, the cheek was out like this. So I got some vinyl spackle, that's what it's called, vinyl spackle, which will absorb very dramatically into the clay. And I put it on and put this back, and it just went, and you couldn't budge it after that. Then I sanded the entire cheek, and since it was already fired once, it couldn't be fired again because of the glaze firing would have ruined the vinyl spackle that was in there. So I had to finish it with acrylic paint. Then I put an acrylic glaze over the entire piece. But I like the way it ended up. This one is an example of a really badly termite damaged piece of wood, and I made it into a vase. I don't know why I enjoy doing doing different pieces of wood, but that I love the graining, and I love to dig in and get all this yummy texture. And I love that texturing too. And this was a great big old piece of, pieces of wood made into a square. I should have put some seed out for him. Oh, look, now you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a juvenile because the wings are still a little gray.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a little sparrow. He's finding something. So when I started to do this, I had originally planned to put in a man and a woman. But after I had the bench made and the man made, I said, no, I'm gonna do something different. So I decided to have him feeding the dog instead of himself. And this is a bag that he brought his sandwich in, and French fries and his drink. And some of the French fries have fallen to the floor. And this one, I saw a picture of an elderly man sleeping in a doorway. And the way he was slumped and sort of bent over, I thought that would make a very nice little sculpture. So again, I added a dog. And I thought it was very affectionate having the hand of the man on the dog and the paw of the dog on the man. I saw a picture of this statue in a pamphlet from Sotheby's in New York. The picture was of a full-sized adult, full-sized person sculpted in wood and painted. And it had been on an altar in medieval Germany. And now it was being auctioned off, and it was in their catalog, and I thought that was a very beautiful statue of St. Catherine. And I believe, there are lots of St. Catherines, I believe this was St. Catherine of Siena, because St. Catherine of Siena was involved in the church, and she's carrying a book. It was a very interesting statue, piece to make, taking it from a picture which is one-dimensional and trying to figure out what the back might possibly have looked like. It was just completely made up. the idea of this when I saw an Amish butcher in a little Amish market butchering something, and I thought that would make a fun, well, a good sculpture. And I had an Amish hat on him, and then I put the goose on the chopping block, and then I got awfully nasty, and I decided to make him very sloppy, and I made a garbage can with lots of things just dripping out and dripping onto the floor. In fact, there's a little rat over here who's enjoying all the droppings. And then I put a little dog in there watching the rat. It's a pretty nasty piece, but it's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into getting all the detailing around the mouth, the chin, the cheeks, the eyes. The hair was just taking a thumb and going like that. That made the hair.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was a lot of...
And who is this person?
Oh, this is my son, Eric.